Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking with a top producing agent and coach who's not just building a massive business, but doing it while staying present at home with his family. If you've ever wondered how to scale without burning out, you're going to want to hear this conversation with Jeremy Kane. All right, so my guest today is Jeremy Kane, licensed for over 12 years in Denver, Colorado. Jeremy is nationally recognized as a real estate leader, an active top producing agent, and high performing coach. He's built an organization of more than 225 agents with 4 icons and counting, while still leading from the producer side. Jeremy also hosts the Real Estate Agent Playbook, where he shares real strategies for building business that thrive on relationships instead of cold leads. But beyond the numbers, Jeremy's proudest role is being a husband and a dad to 3 daughters. He's showing agents it is possible to grow big without sacrificing family. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for being here.
Sounded pretty good. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah. Well, I think that you do such a great job, and I'm excited to share with everybody what you do. So, I'm going to jump right in. Now, you've been licensed for over 12 years. What first drew you into real estate, and how has your why evolved over time?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I graduated from Colorado State with a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I wanted to save the world, but I didn't want to go back to school. So that's where that kind of started.
Okay.
And then I got into corrections, private corrections for a while. And then I went into teaching, again, trying to save the world before the problems existed. And then I got to a point where, I'd been dating my now wife for 10 years or 9 years, I guess. And it was just time to start a family. And, in the education world, I worked at a charter school. Like, I didn't even have a teacher's license, but I was a teacher. It just wasn't, it was fine to pay our $800 mortgage and, our lifestyle, but it wasn't something that we could build a foundation of a family on. So called my dad, who had been in the industry for a long time as a managing broker, and just said, hey, this is 2013. So, we'd just been through the big,
The ringer.
crash and all the things. My dad had moved his business and merged it with another company, where he was now a managing broker. And I just said, hey, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. I didn't know what he would say, because it was not, the greatest 5 years in the industry for him. And he was like, you'll be great at it. So I jumped on board, and the rest is history.
Here we are.
Yep.
I love that. And your business is heavily relationship based. So, how do you intentionally build on your SOI and partnerships so that they consistently feed your pipeline?
Honestly, I just show up and I help others, right? My goal when I'm at a networking event or I'm meeting people or is to find people that I can connect other people to,
Okay.
right? So if I'm at a networking event and there's a new electrician or a new inspector or a new, hair salon owner, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can to partner with them and drive business to them. And it reciprocates pretty naturally that way. It's not, hey, do you have any leads, or hey, let's share leads, or let's do this. There's no secret to it. It's just, hey, what can I do to help you? What can I do to make your life better? Typically in the entrepreneur world, that's, send me referrals
Yeah.
across the board. And so it works out. And if you can have enough conversations with people, then you're always going to be able to plug people into certain roles where it's less like a business, right? You're just having a conversation. But think about if you're talking to someone that knows someone for everything,
Right.
right? If it's something super specialized, right? Oh, I got a guy here. Let me connect you right now. Boom, you've made the connection. You get the credit from the, entrepreneur for the referral. This person now sees you as an ultimate resource, and you've just hopefully made two, great referral partners in the client and the consumer who's getting the value, and the business who's also getting the referral. And you typically know that they're going to take care of them and they're going to treat them with the
Mhm.
highest level of standard if they're coming from you.
Absolutely. I think that's where you and I kind of resonate very much like very similar because I'm the same way. I like to connect people and help people. That's why I love talking with you as much as we do because you help me so much. So it definitely shows with the way that you build your business and present your business. So I think that is so great. And with that, you've built an organization of 225 agents and then some, and scaling still. And some of your agents have been icon agents. So, what systems or leadership principles have made that growth possible for you and for your organization?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's just getting them plugged in, making sure that they have all of the resources that are available. Within our organization, there's, social media training, and I have some, systems, processes, organization training. Then I have some agents that are great at AI and CRMs and organic social media and niching down. And so the more and more I can just connect others, as I have for you and others is great, right? And
Yeah.
so I just really push to say, okay, how do you want to build your business? Yes, I can coach you up. Sometimes I don't need to,
Right.
right? The two icon agents that I've had this year, one of them was 21 years old. His dad's about to be one, and his little brother behind him. So super young, but ultimately they had, their Zillow team, and they were kind of crushing those leads and had a great system for conversion. Well, like I'm going to stay out of the way on that, but I'm going to say, hey, let's make sure that we're, nurturing these people on the back end so that they're your forever clients. And,
Right.
that's where I can step in and help. And then there's people that are like, oh, Icon's so far out of reach. And then, like with John, I just like inspired him, right? I
Yeah.
said, you just need to press the gas a little harder and you got this, right? And so it just depends on who it is. I'm a coach. So, naturally, I coached high school basketball for a long time. I've coached my kids. I've coached, competitively, everything in between. So sometimes my job is just to inspire, right?
Yeah.
Like when we won a state championship and 12 of our 13 kids played college sports on our basketball team, like
Amazing.
I didn't really have to do much X's and O's. Like it was, I mean, we did and we had fun with it, but it was more like, hey guys, like we're probably the most talented by far, but let's not embarrass ourselves, right? Let's motivate and let's show up and keep that motivation going when you're having a successful season. So it's very similar with agents, right?
Right.
Like sometimes it's just like you can do this, sometimes it's support, sometimes it's, keeping them in the business when things, seem so hard and the two deals blew up and all the things. So that's kind of the approach I take, but every situation's different.
And so, with your agents that you help, you are teaching them in the same sense of the way that you've done business, like with the organic prospect part of that.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yep. I mean, it's relationship based, it's following up, it's past clients, it's how to generate a real referral machine. And it's funny because I was just on a coaching call with somebody who booked into my calendar, and I was just like, yes, the KPIs are great, and I could say call 150 people a day,
Right.
right? But if you're not into it, your conversion is going to be bad. So I really meet my agents where they're at. My biggest thing is like if you can build your business where your feet already are, whether that's the gym, church, your family, whatever, without being a used car salesman,
Right.
like you'll be able to enjoy your life a lot more because
That's
you're multi-purposing, things. Like my daughters are in competitive gymnastics. I'm at the gym a lot, right? Watching them working, sitting on metal bleachers, whatever. In the meantime, I'm talking to people, right?
yeah.
I've pulled 3 deals out of the gym this year.
Awesome.
And so I'm there supporting my daughter, you picking her up, taking, playing taxi, whatever that looks like. But I'm also, networking with other people who are sitting around me. So,
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I love that you teach that rather than just
mhm.
standard traditional ways of getting business. And so, why did you choose to align with EXP and the Wolfpack? And how have those opportunities supported your vision as both a producer and a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of crazy. There's a couple stories here, right? So first and foremost, I left my dad's brokerage. So after 8.5 years, I decided that this was more of a route I wanted to go, teaching, coaching, retaining agents. was something that I had gone to that brokerage and asked. My dad was not the employing broker. He was a managing broker of an office. And he's, since retired. So that was coming up, and it was kind of you know, a known thing that I was going to, step into the managing broker role. They'd asked me, if I was interested, whatever. And I kind of got ahead of it, and I said, look, if I'm going to be in charge of 24-hour hotline and, litigations and things like that, I'm just not down to take that time away from my business. So I asked if he wanted, me to coach and retain and attract agents. And they said they kind of had that covered. And so I said, okay, cool. So I had, met Mike on a call during COVID, actually. And so I'd started following him. I'd also, in turn, seen his collaborations with my now sponsor, Louie. And I reached out to Louie because he was local to me. And we're kind of following the same guy unbeknownst to us until we put it all together. And so then when that time came in that conversation, I had met with Louie once or twice, just kind of collaborating, talking about business, whatever. And I called him and just said, hey, I think I'm going to come over and I'd, like to help build out Denver with you, under the Wolfpack and that kind of stuff. So that was how it played out. Well, my cousin, who happens to be a growth director for EXP in the southeast part of the country, had been talking to my dad and I about EXP for a couple times, right? And so that was one person, right? And then I had also, talked to Ricky Caruth because Ricky happens to be, he lives on a golf course that I've golfed several times with my best friend who lives in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And so he, he's a member, he is actually like the president or vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. So he knew Ricky, he knew I was in real estate. He's like, have you seen this guy? I was like, yeah, that's crazy, and so, from that, I talked to Ricky, I talked to the Wolfpack and Mike and Louie, and I just decided that the way that I was going to build my business or continue to build my business was more aligned with the Wolfpack than, Ricky and calling and kind of more traditional stuff. And a lot of that had to do with my geographical location, right? Okay. Colorado, people don't answer their phone. If I called somebody and said, hey, how's the weather? It wouldn't go. Crazy story. Like I'll be sharing a stage at EXPCon with Ricky as well. So that's kind of a full circle moment. My cousin will also be bringing her daughter, who's also my cousin, who's likely going to join and be a part of the Wolfpack with Lisa as a co-sponsor. So there's a lot of intertwining there in that question, but ultimately that's how it came down.
That's so cool. I didn't realize you had all those branches out there because, we talk so much about the Wolfpack, but that's amazing. So it was like meant to be almost. And that's so great. And so you talk a lot about balance and scaling while still present at home. What routines or mindset shifts help you lead both in business and as a dad?
Yeah, first and foremost, like I have to get my kind of personal time in before the sun comes up and my 3 young children.
Yeah.
My daughters my 2 older are getting closer to like wanting to sleep in and stuff. The baby does not typically. She's not a baby anymore, but she's a wild little 2.5, 3, almost 3-year-old. So that's huge. The next piece is, scheduling time around their schedules, right? As I mentioned, my daughter's in gymnastics. She's at the gym 12 hours a week. My second daughter's in gym as well, and she's there currently 4 hours a week, about to step up to, 9 to 10 hours a week, and dance classes, all the other activities in between. And so I intentionally, have to spend time on certain days, right? Like right now, Thursday's our only weeknight where we're not, in complete chaos. So Thursday nights has to be in my calendar. It has to be a priority because I did have to make an adjustment to like schedule that, right? I put in there family time this, and it's going to be something really spectacular or client emergency that's going to come into play there.
Gotcha.
And then, it's optimizing your time that you do have with work. We also homeschool our kids. So I do, just getting back into this with the school year just recently starting. I try and help them with math, right? That's kind of my place in the pecking order for sure. So I do that, hopefully 2 to 3 hours a week. And then, my wife takes care of a lot of the other things. So it's not a perfect storm, right? I'm not here to tell you that I'm, fully present running two, successful businesses all the time. But when I do have that opportunity, that's where I like to, focus and dial it in. But it all starts with the morning routine and like, getting focused and, getting a workout in, sitting in my sauna, doing those things.
Okay. Yeah, I think intention is like big, right? Like when no matter what it is that we're doing, the intent has to be there, or else it's not
Yeah.
gonna go. So, as a coach, what do you think agents need to hear most right now about winning in today's shifting market? Because that's a huge topic that everybody's talking about.
I mean, you just have to separate yourself, provide value, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what brokerage you're at, doesn't matter anything. If you can develop that unique brand and provide value, a unique value proposition, I talk on stages about this a ton. And that unique value proposition needs to be focused on a ideal client avatar. It needs to be focused on their why. And you need to build something out that is absolutely, a benefit to them. Because if we're just relying on the MLS and professional photos and, flyers, we're going to get stuck. And so you have to continue to grow that and communicate that and be able to set those, expectations based on the market and all of the things. Like you have to go all in right now.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not like the days where you would just throw it on the MLS and print a couple flyers, and by the time they came back from the print shop or the printer, the house was under contract. Like it's just not that piece. And so if you don't set expectations up front with your sellers and you're not, brutally honest on the pricing and what that looks like in the market and why, like they can type some stuff into ChatGPT and figure it out pretty easily. It might not be the best, information or the most hyper local or whatever, but you have to fill that void. Otherwise, if you're a basic agent, you're just gonna, lose to a basic AI,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the truth.
It is. And I have that conversation a lot, especially with agents who got into the business like in 2020, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm grateful that I was in before that because I feel like I'm back to my roots as far as that goes. But yeah, it's been a huge topic. And so, what advice would you give an agent who wants to move from just an agent to business owner without losing their passion or burning out?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at, what you like to do in the business, and, delegation is a key factor. We have AI as, a delegation tool. We have VAs as a delegation tool. You have assistants and buyer's agents and those kind of things if you want to go down that road. So I think you just have to look at the things that you like to do and you enjoy doing, and the things that you despise and that it's hard to do. You have to kind of delegate those out. Ultimately, it comes down to communication and being the best communicator, whether that's of your expectations, of your value, of the market. The better you can communicate that and know that, the better it's going to turn out. Right.
Yes.
And likewise when you're training these people,
Yeah.
and I think delegation is I mean, we got so used to the money coming in, pretty much unscathed that, yeah, delegation was easy.
Right.
But now, like, look at your team, right? If you do have a team of people, and I just had a meeting with a top producer here recently, and she was like, well, I don't even know what they do, right? So why are they there? Like,
Right.
you have to be filling one person up at a time to their max capacity.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't mean that you just have an assistant and they do your YouTube videos and they do this and they do that. No, train someone on a specific niche that they're at, fill them up. And then, if you need to take some off their plate, then get another person, kind of like a waterfall method versus, I need a social media person and I need a, marketing person and I need an agent attraction. You can't just throw things at people and not train them, because ultimately you'll just end up paying a bunch of people and you don't know why.
Which is expensive.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. So I have a bonus question for you. If you could leave agents with one takeaway about building a big life without sacrificing family, what would it be?
Ultimately, it's optimization of time, right? You have to limit your distractions. You have to be on when you're on, and you can build your calendar however you want,
Yeah.
right? And that's the key. And one of those things and life-changing things that we have done in my family is bring our kids home for homeschool, right? And some people say, and I get this all the time, like, well, we just can't do that. We
Yeah.
can do that. Ultimately, my kids do school 2 to 3 hours a day, and
Right.
we're far outpacing the public school system as far as levels and those kind of things. And so you do have 2 to 3 hours a day, but you just have to want to do it. You have to have the energy to do it. And yes, it may take a little bit of restructuring, whether it's the job situation or budget or whatever you need. But ultimately, like, if you have something that's that important to you and you can move things around, you can do it. It just takes a little bit of sacrifice, a lot bit of organization. And to be able to stay present and do that, like, that's a huge piece of my business, that I don't have to go to a school and sit in a car line to get my kids,
Yeah.
right? Twice a day.
Right.
And when I'm done working, if they're not at gymnastics, they're here, right? Or at lunchtime, I can walk up and give them a hug and eat lunch with them and sit down. So there's different opportunities because they aren't across town with somebody else, and so that was important to me. But it also fit that lifestyle. It fit the fact that I'm a real estate agent. I don't have a 9 to 5,
Right.
and they're here. Did it take sacrifice? Yes. Did my wife want to, when we first met, it's funny, I wanted to be the stay-at-home dad and she wanted to be the, breadwinner. And here we are. It's quite the opposite, thank goodness, because she's a lot better at that than, and I'm pretty good at what I do too. So it works out. But for people that don't have a team, like, I get it, right?
Yeah.
It's not that I don't see you. It's just, you have to then build a team around you
Right.
of support and those kind of things. And it's not easy, and alternating schedules and all the things. I coach all my agents,
Yeah.
this. And sometimes they're just like, Jeremy, you don't get it. Like, go away. Right. And I just show up with empathy and whatever. But I think that's the biggest key, is just having that vision and thinking about all the different ways that you can get there, and then choosing a path, sticking to it, assessing it, adjusting it, and going from there.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Jeremy, thank you for sharing how you're leading from the front while staying grounded in what matters most to you. Your story is definitely proof that agents don't have to choose between growth and family. They can definitely have both. And for those of you watching, drop your favorite takeaway in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe so you don't miss other success stories like this one. And if you're ready to start the hustle, and ditch cold leads and start building business rooted in relationships, systems, and community, click the link in the description to book a private call with us. And let's put together a plan that helps you scale and your business succeed. And for those of you who would also like to follow Jeremy, I will provide all of his profile links in the description below. And we will see you next time.
Thanks, Meg.
Bye. Thank you, Jeremy.